Hey guys, it's Tiny Tom Logan back with another video for you, and this is one of the videos that I've been talking about that we're going to be trying something a little different because I'm going to be reviewing a power supply, and it just so happens to be a power supply from Cougar. But just to let you know, fill you in on the way it works here at OC3D. James, the founder of OC3D in fact, is our power supply guru. This bloke can take a look at the internals of a power supply and pretty much tell you what the problems are going to be before he's even tested it. He just understands exactly what he's looking at, and it's that kind of experience and knowledge which has gained him quite a, that's my phone going off, has gained him quite a lot of respect within the industry. Power supply testing, it's also very technical. You can't just buy a machine and expect to be able to get accurate results, because there's so many different variables and things that you've got to test that, I'll be frank with you, I've been up there to his house because we've invested many thousands of pounds in the tester and the oscilloscope and everything else. We can do up to 1680 watts, we can put up to 166 amps of load on, and with the oscilloscope we can actually see the ripples on the voltages on the rails. And the ripple is probably the most important thing that we can test, because you don't, the more ripple that you have on the rail with the voltage fluctuating, the bigger the chances you've got, even with it staying, say for argument's sake, what looks like a lovely 12 volts, if that ripple is fluctuating too much a second, then that can actually be something which will cause your rig to fail and possibly kill your components. But anyway, so the bit that I'm trying to get across is all the technical side of this review James has done with the tester himself, and you'll be able to see in the review underneath the video. I'll leave a link there. I'm just going to be taking a look on the video at the aesthetics, and then also going over some of the points that James has put in his main review. So I'm only going on what I've spoken to James about, so all the technical part of this video has been done by James. I'm just going to be talking you through it. But if you want to go and see all the graphs, the oscilloscope readings, and actually read James's own opinions on the Cougar unit, then just click the link underneath. So today really I'm going to be talking about, just to kind of go over it again, we'll be looking at the aesthetics. I'll talk to you about some of the main points that James has raised about the Cougar unit, and then I'll also be passing you some of my, passing over some of my thoughts about what I think about the aesthetics and stuff like that. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is bring you straight in. We'll get this box open, have a good look at the unit, and then, like I said, I'll talk to you about some of the technical stuff. So we'll do, it's almost like a box opening, but then with a lot of technical details in the conclusion. And as I've said before, this is a new format. We're going to be trying this with the videos coming up. We've got several other units that we're going to test, but we're just kind of testing the water. So please let me know your thoughts and stuff underneath. If you found this video for the first time, again, subscribe, comment. We're always good to hear from you. But yeah, for all the regular subscribers, you know who you are. I would like to hear back on what you think about this video as a first. But I'm going to shush and we'll get the camera moved. Right guys, straight in with the box. You can see the Cougar logo on the front there. The original Cougar power supply that we had was orange. But anyway, this one, up in the top right hand corner, you can see that it's saying 5 years warranty there. It's also got an 80 plus gold branding logo up on the top. You can see it's called the Cougar GX. It's also 1050 watts, as it says down in this corner. On this side of the box, I'll just read you out what it states that it's got there. 12 volt solid cap, and it basically says highest durable and reliable solid caps, 93% plus efficiency, it's claiming, 105 degrees Japanese capacitors, hydrodynamic 140mm bearing fan. It says it's got DC to DC technology, modular, multi-GPU compatible, all-in-one cables with SATA and Molex, it's saying here. We'll take a look at those. and also that it's a multi 12 volt rail unit. On the back it says about gold plated connectors, rapid switch technology for the higher performance, trying to suppress ripple and noise for a perfect quality voltage. I'm just picking out the bits that we haven't spoken about before. But anyway, also something that I will say is Cougar are a German company. So it'll be interesting to see whether it comes with the expected German build quality. Anyway, I'm going to get this box open. And when we open the box, immediately this actually makes me think of like an Asus graphics card box. The fact that we've got all the separate compartments and stuff. We'll do one at a time and we'll see what's inside them. I've literally not looked at this at all yet, so I don't know what's inside these. That's basically a power connector. It's nice to see a power connector with a power supply with a UK plug. I know that might sound strange, but with a lot of power supplies, they hardly ever do send them with a UK plug. I think Corsair are the only other ones, but anyway, UK plug. We'll take this side out now, and this is all of the cables. So we'll take these out and we'll have a look. What I'm going to do is I'm going to zoom you in quickly. I'll move the box. There we go. You can see that we've got a Cougar strap here, wrapping up all of the cables. There's actually two. Didn't realise there was two there. There we go. You can see the two Cougar Velcro straps. Now, I'm immediately going to go looking for this all-in-one cable and find out where it is, because that one is just a SATA cable, and you've got 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 5 SATA cables, SATA connections on that cable. Now, what I will do is I'll bring this up so you can see this braid. Now, it's quite a strange braid because it's black stripes, but then you've also got the white and the orange bits in it as well. Now that's pretty much on everything. Now, although I think the braid on this is going to be a Marmite moment for a lot of you. You're either going to love it or you hate it. But something James brought up in his review, which I do quite agree with actually, is the fact that you could quite easily build a rig with this kind of theme and it could work really well. Now, aha, here we go. Here is the all-in-one cable they spoke about. You've got Molex, and then there's 3 SATA cables. Now I really like this because, not being funny, 3 SATA cables and a couple of Molexes is generally plenty. So you could technically get away with just having this one cable in, and you might not need any of the other bits. Obviously, you may need your PCI Expresses and stuff, but you may not need, because there's another cable with a Molex at the top and then 4 SATAs, but you may not need all of those SATA cables. So you've got a Molex, double Molex and 3 SATA cables. You've then got a single Molex and 4 SATA cables. You've also got 5 Molexes on their own, and then you've also got 5 SATAs on their own, and then you've also got 5 Molexes on their own. So there's an immense amount of expandability for hard drives and anything that needs a Molex cable there. There's absolutely loads for that. There's an adapter for Molex to floppy. Now, many of you out there, because I've read this before in the comments, have said, why would you need a floppy connector? Nobody uses floppy drives anymore. Fair comment. But Asus Sonar sound cards require a floppy connector to power them, or some of them do anyway. So seeing this in there, although many of you probably won't use it, it's very handy for those of us that will. Right, we have PCI Express cable, and it's a 6+2 pin. So it's 8 in total, but you've got the split off so that you can use it as a 6 as well. Now there are there's 4 6 plus 2 PCI Express cables in this bundle. If we move on to the actual unit itself, I'm going to move all the cables and everything, and all the box and everything out of the way, just so that I can get to the actual unit itself. We've got more cables on the unit, just while I'm moving on to it. I'm going to undo the cables that are on the main unit. We can have a look and see what's on here. Now, we have the obligatory 20 plus 4 pin cable. To be perfectly honest with you, if you've got a 1050 watt power supply nowadays, I don't think any of you out there are going to be using 20 pin motherboard connections. And the 20 plus 4, yeah, it does add that little bit, you know, for the odd one person that may use it, but to be perfectly honest, I wish they'd just make them 24 pin cables now. There's also a 4 plus 4 pin CPU cable, so you can join the two together to make an 8, but quite strangely there's also a single 4 pin on it as well, so that you can have a 4 on its own or the 8 cable. I do find that kind of strange. PCI Express wise, there's another 2 6 plus 2 pin PCI Express connections. So basically, if you were to have 3 graphics cards, all with 8 pin connections, you would be able to power it with this rig. So you've got a total of 6 in total, 8 pin connections PCI Express wise. Now, if we have a look on the back of the unit, just there we go, get it into position. If I move these cables out of the way, you can see that the black connections are for your SATA and for your Molex connections. The red ones are for the PCI Express. Also, if you have a look, you can see that the rails are marked out. So this gold circle here is for the first 12 volt rail, and it's saying here that this one is for the rail 5 and rail 6. I'm not sure if that means that's 1, that's 2, that's 3, that's 5, that's 6, I don't know, but it's saying 5 and 6 on this one. I'm not sure where 2, 3, 4 have gone, but at least there you can see if you wanted to balance the rails out a bit better. Now, aesthetics of the rig, of the unit. Basically, you've got a really deep wrinkle powder coat on the top section of the unit, with the bottom section just looking like, it looks anodised, but I know it's not. It's just compared to the top, they're both powder coated, but you've got a very deep wrinkle at the top, and then like a normal powder coat, smooth powder coat at the bottom, like a satin. Now, if I bring this up, you can see that the G1050, it's actually very shiny, almost mirrored. Does give it a really lovely quality feel. This logo here is kind of, it takes on the kind of wrinkled effect. But on the top, you can see that there's the separate gold panel over the top of the fan with a large Cougar logo on it. And this gold panel here has got a brushed effect on it as well, so it's like it's an aluminium panel with a brushed effect to it. Actually does make it feel really high quality. Also a good thing to see is the fact that you've got the Cougar logo the right way up this time if you want an exposed fan. If you turn it round the opposite way and you want your power supply either sucking up from underneath, or you've got your power supply in the roof, that all the logos and everything are around the right way again. Like I said, it does make it feel like this is a really high, quality, ultra brand power supply. And obviously this gold at the top would go immensely well with the Gigabyte UD7 boards that are floating about. Both the Z68 and the P67 go with this gold theme. You get gold in the Gamewood Phantom cards as well, so really does work. I'd be happy to have this in the bottom of my rig. This kind of hexagon mesh and the way it's all laid out on the top of this power supply, the more I look at it, the more I really like this design as well. It's not showy enough that it's over the top, but it's kind of leery enough that it's actually really nice to look at. On the back of the unit, you can see kind of the exhaust area. You can also see that you've got a fairly high duty power switch as well, which, let's face it, when you're going to be flicking 1050 watts, or the ability to flick 1050 watts on and off, that's never a bad thing to see. My thoughts about the braid overall, when it's pulled tight, you can see the cables through a little bit. It's not the best braid I've ever seen in the world on a power supply, but to be perfectly fair, it's far from the worst either. Braiding is a very difficult thing, and to be perfectly honest with you, that's why a lot of the brands have gone with their flat black cables now, because it just gets away with the fact that you it is very difficult to make the braid look tidy all the time, and short of getting an absolute expert to do every power supply, it's not really possible, and it does take a lot of getting right. So it's a very good quality braid. I'm just saying it's not like the best, do you know what I mean? I very much doubt whether the majority of you will actually give a monkeys about it. It's just where I'm trying to be over clinical with everything and cover every feature as I always do. But to be perfectly honest with you guys, as I've said, this section of the video is obviously all about aesthetics, and I really do like the look of this rig. It's subtle enough that it's not going to be, you know, drawing your eye too much, but it's good looking enough that you would want to look for it in the bottom of your rig. I think this in a stealthy kind of black rig would look absolutely lovely, kind of nestled in the bottom, some subtle lighting maybe. I do actually, yeah, this top section I think is the best bit, but the difference on the bottom here between this kind of smooth powder coat and this top powder coat, especially with this really shiny G1050 at the bottom, I really like that as well. So aesthetically, for a power supply, I'd probably say this was a 10. For the actual main unit anyway. The braiding, I would probably say a good solid 8 for the braiding, to be perfectly honest with you. And with the cables, where you've got Molex on their own, SATA on their own, but you've also got those mix of SATA and Molex together, I really like that feature. So for the cables, I would probably say a 9 for the SATA cables. And you get everything in the box that you could need. You get a couple of the you get a couple of the Velcro connections. There's actually 3 in the box. Box is really well put together, so aesthetically I'm very impressed with the Cougar G1050. Overall, I'd probably say for the looks, the braid, the cables, everything like that, I'd say overall I would give it a 9. Anyway, let's roll on now to the conclusion. I'll go over some of the things that James has picked out in his review, and then give it a view of my, give my final conclusion as well. Right then guys, on to the conclusion. I'm going to pick up on some of the points that James raised in his review, because obviously I'm just doing this as kind of a like a subsidiary, so you get a better look at the aesthetics and stuff with the video. One of the things he brought up is during our testing, it states that it was 93% efficient on the box, and it was almost there with ours. We were seeing about 92%, which if you allow for tolerances and stuff, it's pretty much spot on. One of the things that he put on, all of the rails on the power supply were extremely good throughout all of the tests that we put it through. Generally with our testing, we do push the power supplies beyond their rated limit. So for example, this is 1050, we would always push our power supplies a little bit further to see what it was like. At 1050 it was fine. Once you start to push beyond that, so like when we got to 1100 watts, the voltages were starting to go all over the place, and although they didn't go out of ATX spec, they weren't really what you would like. So pretty much what we can draw from that is that this is designed to be a 1050 watt power supply, and there is no real overheads above that. Now a lot of you may think, well, I'm buying a 1050 watt power supply, I'm not going to want to go above that. But a lot of other brands, their power supplies are built and it's almost like they're underrated. So for argument's sake, they sell you a 1000 watt and it's almost like 1250 watt, a 1450 watt, for argument's sake 500, 1500 watt in disguise. And that is a kind of cheap way to be able to get it through efficiency tests and stuff like that. But it's just something that we raise because it's a point that we pick up on a lot. Something else that James brought up was the fact that the ripple on the on all the voltages was very good, and it was something that he picked up, that it's got built into the unit are Nikon caps, Japanese capacitors, and obviously the capacitors help level out the voltages, and that's probably why the fluctuation was so little. And on if you go and have a look at the main review, you can see the oscilloscope readouts and see that they were all very, very good. We did mark it pretty highly on the aesthetics, both from me and James liked it as well. Obviously the braid is going to be a bit of a Marmite moment with some of you. Some of you just aren't going to care, some of you, you know what I mean, might not like it, but the actual main unit itself, I really, really like the design of this unit, really, really like it. Simple but loud enough that it's really nice to look at without it being bland, is the way I would put it. Now, award-wise, basically the Cougar is up there with the real kind of high-end power supplies. It doesn't go as far as to be able to kind of stand out from the crowd of the really big ones. It's not something that's made us go, oh my god, stop the press. This thing is absolutely amazing, like some of the others have done, but it's definitely up there in the Premier League of power supplies, and definitely, especially for 1000 watt, in the 1000 watt plus range, it definitely deserves to be up there. So the award we decided to give it was a gold. That was because of the aesthetics, the very minimal ripple that we had across the rails, the fact that all of the 12 volt rails are very stable, even when put on under torturous amounts of load. It did remain really quiet, because one of the things I should bring up is that we actually test our power supplies at 50 degrees C ambient temperature, because we've got a hot box that we heat up before we even turn the power supply on. And it remained cool and calm, you know, throughout that. And when you think about, it's easy to run a power supply at kind of normal temperatures, but if we're running a power supply at 50 degrees ambient temperature, that shows that we're already putting it under a torturous amount of stress before we even decide to start pulling wattage through it. So that's why we decided to give it a gold award, because even though all that, like I said, it's not kind of pushed the boundaries and raised the bar for all the other power supplies, but putting it in that kind of top bracket, it very much deserves to be there. And for me, the best point about this unit, you know, not thinking about the cables, is definitely the aesthetics. Probably one of the most unique power supply designs I've seen in a long time, and I would happily put this in one of my rigs. So I'd very much like to hear your feedback about the fact that we're going to be dual doing the power supply reviews from now on, i.e. Jim's going to be doing the testing and the write-up, then I'm going to be doing the aesthetics and doing a video to complement it. Yes, alright, I am pulling on Jim's wealth of knowledge, but I'm just trying to bring something slightly different to YouTube, in the fact that we still look at the aesthetics like all the other power supply videos on other channels, but trying to bring that extra kind of bit of sauce in, where the fact that we've actually got some proper testing to back it up. But also the fact that it's proper testing, and the fact we actually know what we're doing with our power supply tester. because they're not things that you can just buy and then expect to get away with. Because let's put it this way, I've been up to James's to have a look at the unit with an air to bringing it home and doing the power supply testings for him, and it blew my mind. There's so much that you've got to learn, and I pity anyone that's going to bother trying to do this, because I don't think you know what an absolute, the kind of Pandora's box that you're opening, and I would be very worried for you. But anyway, I'm going to be quiet now and leave the Cougar with its very well deserved gold award, and say this is Tiny Tom Logan with another video for you.